Dad, turn down streaming. Hey guys, this is Viper Strike 95 here today, and welcome to part 14 of my baseball inspired series, Play Ball. And today we're going to be heading to Milwaukee, Wisconsin today. And if you wonder where I'm at, well, I'm actually right in the middle of the cornfields of Iowa. More specifically, I'm nearby the town of Dyersville. And I think there's a special reason we're going to be going there. So, last week, we actually flew from Battle Creek, Michigan, through Kalamazoo, South Bend, Indiana, Gary, Indiana, and finally through Chicago. We get to see the Cubs and White Sox play baseball. We got to visit the iconic Wrigley Field, and we got to visit through downtown Chicago. But today, I'm going to do something a bit different here as well. So, what I was wanting to do is I wanted to bring a special aircraft I wanted to bring here today. This is actually one of the games in the base game. This is actually the Flight Design CTSL. Now this plane is made by Flight Designs as an ultralight, meaning this plane is extremely light. And I know a lot of you thinking, why would you take this? Well, one of the advantages of this ultralight is it's really light and it has really good performance. It can go up to 120 knots as a max speed. It can cruise around 112 knots. This little beauty is an absolutely wonderful plane. Definitely something enjoyable to fly here today. This thing was first flown in 1996 and has been in production ever since 1997, and over 900 have been built worldwide. This is a very nice aircraft as well. And I got this in the new livery as well. So absolutely beautiful. And I want to give one more. Foregathers, if you're still here, thank you for the follow. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the follow. And I wanted to take this out for a quick flight today. So let's get into the cockpit. Now in the cockpit, it looks kind of simple. Now since Dyersville, Iowa has no real runway, as well, I wanted to bring this aircraft to speed here for a bit. Now, the cockpit looks simple. There's a G3X navigation screen. You can control the screen on and off. You have a 3D map, a 3D vision, which I'm going to do here. You got flight plans, All this sort of stuff seems really simple. It's a really simple cockpit. Well, this thing is a roulette plane, so it can take off in surprisingly short distances if you really want this to be. So overall, I really do like this plane. It also has great side visibility, which you can definitely tell. So we're going to be going to our first stop, and this is my PowerPoint. I usually do these every single episode. And I usually do this for every single episode. And the reason's very obvious. These are all things I'm very proud to work on. And they put a lot of effort to doing it. So we're going to go ahead and get this plane started. We're going to get to that. Let me get back to the and we are off. We're going to go around circle the airfield for a bit. Now, we got to circle around this airfield for a decent bit. As well. So our altitude should be around 2,500 feet. This should be our safe altitude. Now for the flight plan today, well, we have something special for the flight plan today. So we'll go for Dyersville, then we're going to go to an iconic movie site here in Dyersville called Field of Dreams. This is a legendary baseball film, one of the most iconic ones ever made. Then we'll land here at S&S Ranch at 39 Whiskey, India. Then take a flight all the way to the capital of Wisconsin, Madison. Then we'll be visiting the Brew City, Milwaukee. So we're going to have a pretty fun flight here today. I think it should be really fun and exciting. So let's get back to the aircraft. This should be very exciting and fun. I think we should get around. I think this will be pretty good. Let's readjust the trim. Let's pull down the flaps. So our slideshow for today, we're gonna be this is called Brewing for Success. This is obviously playing on the fact that the Milwaukee's Major League Baseball team is the Brewers, and they were named after the original team, and also for the fact Milwaukee is known as the Brew City because of Miller Brewery. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. Now we go over our first destination. We're going to be flying to Dyersville, Iowa. Now, this is part of the DeBeek, Iowa metropolitan area. It has a population of 4,000 people. It was first laid out back in 1851, and it was named for the early landowner James Dyer. While not much is known for the town, it does have some notable attractions. Obviously, we gotta go visit the Field of Dreams movie site. But in addition, they also have the Basilica of St. Xavier, and is most well known for its National Farm Toy Museum. So definitely, these are some of the landmarks. There really isn't very many notable people from Dyersville I can think of. So definitely not very important in the grand scheme of things. So definitely something to keep an eye on. So here's the town of Dyersville. I'm just going to fly above it in the Flight Design CTSL. Though the other aircraft you can take, you're more than free to take the VL3 in the Pipistrel Virus. So obviously, I'm on the East USA server, so anyone free to join me, you're more than free to join me on this flight. So we're going to fly around Dyersville for a bit. I'm an East USA server, so anyone who's still here is more than free to join me. Like, anyone's welcome to join on these flights. I see on my chat thing, users in chat, hello there, Martel, good to see you. So, it's nice to see you again, Martel. Thank you so much for being here. So yeah, I'm overflying Dyersville. And here's the route if you are so inclined. Actually, I haven't updated the route, so there is a route that needs to be updated. Change. It's not. It's actually 39W. Sorry, it's hard to keep. Y51. Just go to 39 Wisconsin. That will be the new route. I need to go update the route. Now we're gonna actually go. We're gonna actually make a landing here, the first landing of the day. And this is a very special thing I want to talk about. There's not very many other. It is great to see you again. Hope all's well. So we're gonna actually make our first landing of the day. So there is a baseball diamond out there in the cornfield somewhere. We're gonna have to go find it. Afternoon, hello Splasher6, great to see you again. I'm sorry I couldn't see you stream Friday. I heard that you had a really bad sting on your eye, which, that got hurt. Were you stung by some sort of bee? I believe that's one of the only few things that could probably sting you, Sir Splasher. Look at this. I think we found our baseball diamond out there. Right here, we're gonna actually make a landing on this baseball diamond. Let's make this landing here. Okay, we're gonna make a landing. Oh, and I think we're down. This plane takes off and lands very short. So we're gonna go ahead and walk over for a bit, and we're gonna land. Pull out the parking brake. Now let me give you a bit of a showcase shot. And I want to show you why this is significant. So let me pull the camera up. Well, we're not just in any baseball diamond. This is actually a very special baseball diamond here. Well, this isn't just any baseball diamond though. We're right here at the Field of Dreams movie site. This is actually where they filmed one of the most iconic baseball movies ever made. And let me give you, and I actually have something about Field of Dreams as well. Let me pull this up. So, Field of Dreams was actually premiered in 1989 as a movie. It is a sports fantasy film that was written and directed by Phil Alden Robinson. Believe it or not, this was actually an adaptation from a 1982 novel called Shoeless Joe, who we covered last week, was one of the greatest White Sox players and was one of the most notable of the 8 players that was banned in the Black Sox scandal of the 1920s. In fact, this film stars Kevin Costner, Amy Flanagan, Ray Liotta, Joe Ray Jones, and Burt Lancaster. And speaking about Burt Lancaster, from what I've known, this was actually his last ever movie appearance for the famed actor. Now, the summary of this film goes when Iowa farmer Ray Kinsella was inspired by a voice, a mysterious voice that he can't ignore, and he pursued a dream that he can't believe. Supported by his wife, Ray actually begins his quest to turn his cornfield into a place where dreams can come true, the Field of Dreams. And apparently, in one of the films, I'm not going to give you spoilers, but it inspires the ghost of the White Sox. And anyone who's seen the Field of Dreams game on last Thursday will probably know as the ghost walked through the cornfields of legendary players. In fact, the site itself was actually built by Universal Studios and is currently now owned by the Lansing family. And obviously one of the most famous quotes from the movie, "If you build it, they will come," which is one of the iconic quotes from the movie. And this film was so influential that in 2017, back in 2017, it was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress for being culturally, historical, and aesthetically significant. because it has such an impact on many young players' dreams, which is really cool. Dreams. Now, actually, the funny thing was, speaking of the Field of Dreams, the field itself was actually quite interesting in its dimensions as well. In itself, let me look that up. The ballpark dimensions itself was 281 feet at left field, 314 center field, 262 at right field, and this is actually pretty cool itself. But that's not just this as well. I wanted to bring one more thing to my table. Well, Major League Baseball this past Thursday, whoops, I accidentally deleted my, I accidentally exited out of this. Sorry. Just, well, Major League Baseball did this. It is the MLB Field of Dreams game. They did this Thursday, and this was an awesome game. Both teams were wearing their 1919 throwbacks, and that game was insanely fun. It was a fun ball game. It was just a lot of fun. Great experience for itself. But Field of Dreams was not the only major baseball film I got to talk about. The first one is considered by many to be the greatest sports movie, Bull Durham. Now, this story was a sports comedy film in 1988, and it talked about the Durham Bulls, which are a minor league baseball team back in the day. And that film particularly starred quite a few people. It starred Kevin Costner. Yep, that's right, Kevin Costner as Crash Davis was the main character. So Costner not only appeared in Field of Dreams, he also appeared in Bull Durham. He also played by Tim Robbins, Sarah Sassoon, and this movie became a commercial success. In fact, Sports Illustrated even said it was the greatest sports movie of all time, which is pretty amazing. The next movie I want to talk about is Major League. Now, Major League actually was the same year as Field of Dreams in 1989. Splasher6 just said, I lived in Iowa in my life and still haven't been to the Field of Dreams site. Someday I'll get there. Oh, that would be really cool to get there. That would be awesome. But speaking about Major League, this was a sports comedy film. It starred Tim Berger, Charlie Sheen, Leslie Simpson, and a certain guy named Bob Uecker. And we'll talk about Bob Uecker for a bit later. This was actually dealt with the exploits of a fictional version of the Cleveland Indians team. And the plot is basically the team's trying their best to keep Cleveland from relocating. So, but it's definitely a hilarious film. Next is A League of Their Own. I think one of the more underrated baseball movies. This was actually from 1992, and it's actually a fictionalized version account of a real-life all-girls professional baseball league that was actually occurring during the Second World War, due to the fact a lot of Major League Baseball players were in the Second World War. And it was so iconic that like Field of Dreams, this was preserved by the National Film Registry, by the Library of Congress, which is pretty incredible to say the least. The next one is actually the oldest one on the list, Pride of the Yankees. This was actually from 1942 of all things. What this story was about, the Pride of the Yankees, was actually talking about Lou Gehrig. It's actually a tribute to the legendary first baseman of the Yankees, Lou Gehrig. And apparently, it's not really a biography, it's more of an homage to Lou Gehrig, and it became a pretty well-known movie. Now, obviously, from what I know, they took some bit of liberties with the film, but to be fair, this was back in 1942. It was very hard to get Lou Gehrig's actual speech. But still, this was an iconic movie back in the day. And the last one is the most recent of the movies I got here, and a movie I actually have, and a movie that I think is my favorite so far of all the ones I watched. This is Moneyball. Now, this was actually an adaptation of one of the most well-known baseball books. And this talks about the Oakland Athletics and Charlie Bean, who was the general manager at the time, using sabermetrics and all sorts of statistics. And that ended up benefiting the Oakland Athletics to be incredibly successful. And that book is so iconic, it's not just changed baseball, it's changed other sports too. And this movie starred Brad Pitt as Charlie Bean, Jonah Hill as Peter Brand. Those are the main two guys, and this movie was insanely successful. It was very solid in the box office, but critically, it is extremely highly rated by critical roles. And this movie received 6 Academy Award nominations, including Best Picture, Best Actor, Best Supporting Actor, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Sound Mixing, and Best Film Editing. So that's really impressive for a sports movie to be this good. But yes, I have this movie. It's a fantastic adaptation of a book. And if you want to read a good baseball book, Moneyball is an excellent book to read. So I think that really covers the iconic baseball movies. Now it's time for me to get back in the air, shall we? Thankfully, this thing should have no issues really taking off. This is an extremely light plane. We're going to do some stall on this. And I think we're off. Now we're going to unload the flaps. And let's head back to where we need to go. But yeah, this is actually pretty cool to talk about the iconic baseball movies. Now we're going to be trying to head to our first stop here at S&S Ranch at 39 Whiskey in India. We're going to make a quick stop. We're going to try to get to 2,500 feet. So definitely something very interesting. So I want to ask you guys is how your all's weekend has been. For me, I've had an interesting weekend. Because of my family having to go on vacation, I had to be with my brother's place. So I was without that as well. So that's why I couldn't really join Allison's flight yesterday. I know Allison did a very nice stream. She went from Aleppo to Baghdad, which is quite enjoyable. Yeah, look at the visibility. This thing has surprisingly great visibility, especially from the doors. As well. Well, we're going to get to 2,400. I think it's time we put the trim down. I'm going to also reduce the speed a little bit. Enter. As well, we can actually reduce the speed quite a bit on this plane. We don't really need this thing to get super fast. I want this to be super enjoyable. I struggle with visibility with some of the GA planes. Yeah, there's some GA planes that don't really have great visibility. The SR-22 definitely is one of the worst visibility planes. I would absolutely agree with you, Martel. I think for me, the best ones with visibility, the VL3 is an excellent plane alongside the Extra. Those two have bubble canopies, so you have amazing visibility. The Pipistrel Virus, this thing and this Virus have fantastic side door visibility. So you can see a lot from the side. Also the DV10 for the same, and most of the Diamond planes except for the DA62 have also got very good visibility there, Martel. So these are some really good planes for visibility sakes. So I think we're going to get through shortly. We're actually going to be near the Mississippi River. Now, I don't have it on my PowerPoint, but the Mississippi River is actually one of the most important rivers in the entire country, as it's actually been the lifeblood for a lot of the from the United States. Now, the Mississippi River is actually it borders through states known as from Minnesota all the way down to Louisiana and everything in between. It flows for 2,320 miles. With its many tributaries, it drains all or parts of 32 states in the United States and even 2 Canadian provinces as well. In fact, the Mississippi was one of the most important rivers, as there are a lot of rivers that can flow into the Mississippi. The Ohio River can flow into the Mississippi, the Missouri River, tons of rivers flow into the Mississippi. So it's such an important river as well. We're going to be flying over it. Let's see there's Kazaki Flyer. He's in the air with me. Yeah, I really do like this CTSL. It's a very nice plane. And I think not many people really fly with this plane, so I think this would be a really good option. Not many. I want to take different planes, and I think that's the point of the series. Is I want to take different planes and give them a chance to fly. There's so many. The Civ comes with so many cool default planes, and I know everyone's been enamored by all the really good add-ons. But I want to show these default planes some love too, because I think a lot of people don't really overlook that too much. Unfortunately, I cannot join the flight today. It's so hot. Oh. I heard Germany and France and all are experiencing a massive heat wave. I feel you. It's so hot here. Oh, yeah. I'm curious. I want to see what the temperature of Germany's kind of like. Sim is sim. You're invisible. You see everyone else. Sim is sim. Oh, I don't see you, Kazaki. So this here is the mighty Mississippi River down to our left. I mean, there are some very famous cities on the Mississippi, like New Orleans, St. Louis, Memphis, all play a role with the Mississippi River. All of them, their lifebloods dependent on the Mississippi River. It's 9 degrees outside and we do not have AC. Oh, no. Oh. I guess AC is much more common in the United States, I believe. That's probably why it's so bad out there. Ugh. Oh, that's not. Dude, I mean, I can tolerate the heat of Florida. I've been through Florida many times when it's humid. But AC is basically a requirement to be in Florida and all that sort of stuff. I can't imagine it not being really as much in Europe. Ugh. And also, like I said, Kazaki, about the disappearing issue, I hope they fix it. it by the world update. Like, that's an issue. I know it's not just me that's having a problem. I know the Thunderflies are having huge issues with it. The Thunderflies all problems with it. I mean, that sort of thing is what keeps the Thunderflies mostly grounded. Yeah, the Mississippi's impressive. It's a huge river. They got lots of deltas. And as well. Increase the speed just a little bit, and just keep giving this thing proper trim. I need to get back to the proper direction. Now we're going to get into one of the many forested areas within Wisconsin. Turns out within the valley there is a lot more forest. It's not so as much as wrestling. I don't mind when I was flying slot earlier today, but street flying is supposed to be shared. I know. That's kind of how it is. I kind of agree. It should be shared within the people, and I think that's what it probably needs to be. It's shared. I'm hoping they fix it, but I'm not really too keen if they are going to do it. It's just my guess. That's all. definitely see around this place. Now, one of the cool things about this plane, apparently you can get to negative 12 degrees, which is usually very weird. But according to someone I know, these kind of act like spoilers to kind of do the downforce of the plane. So that's definitely very interesting. As well, so I wonder what the flap setting is for when I'm trying out the plane on Friday. Yeah, it's a spoiler. That's what it turns out. I see you now there, Kazaki. I need to head back to the right direction. And there's all this forested area in front of us. LOL, the Romulans in view right now. Yeah, I just love the side visibility of this thing. This thing has such a great side visibility. Now, down below us is actually the Wisconsin River, down there below us. This is one of the small rivers that are drained from the Mississippi. It's around 430 miles long, and it's the longest river in the state of Wisconsin. Wisconsin. It goes all the way from the southwest portion of Wisconsin all the way up to the upper peninsula of Michigan. And some of the following cities that are on the river include Eagle River, Wisconsin Rapids, and what more well known is Wisconsin Dells, which is a very popular tourist site in Wisconsin. Very, very popular for tourists, especially for its wide collection of water parks. While we won't be visiting the Dells, we will get near the territory soon enough. There's the Wisconsin River down below. Yeah, this is lovely. Yeah, around the riverbeds and stuff, it's a very lovely area to fly. Like Wisconsin's quite a nice state to go to. And also, there's one more thing about Wisconsin that's well known. I think you also probably know what Wisconsin's known for. Its most famous contribution to the United States, and that is cheese. In fact, Wisconsin is extremely well known for its cheese production. In fact, agriculture is a huge part of it, but especially the dairy industry is especially massive. In fact, Wisconsin produces about a quarter of America's cheese production, which is the most of anyone. It's second in milk production after the state of California, and third in per capita of all milk production. In addition, it's also second in the country in producing butter, which is 1/4 of the butter. And it's also known for the production of corn for silages and all sorts of stuff. And it also grows cranberries, ginseng for agriculture, which makes it very well known for the state of Wisconsin. Cheesemaking has actually been in Wisconsin since the 19th century, believe it or not. And Wisconsin became the first state in 1921 to grade cheese by its quality, which is just insane. In fact, last year, it produced over 3.39 billion pounds of cheese last year, which is insane. So yeah, the dairy industry has been very important for cheese production. So that's, in fact, there are many ways to serve cheese here. In fact, the dairy industry in Wisconsin is so influential that the Green Bay Packers football team, their fans are known as the Cheeseheads. And if you want to know what that kind of looks like, let me show you. Why cheese is such a big deal. Here, let me show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, Cheeseheads. Yeah, Cheeseheads. Yeah, Cheeseheads. Pretty funny. Now, we're not too far from the airport at all. LOL, that's great. I know. If I was doing an American football thing, I would definitely talk more about it. But that's just something I wanted to point out. I'll tell you more about it if I ever did an NFL stream at some point. Probably next year I might do it. I might do one for American football. But this time I'll pick different routes to get I wouldn't be exactly connecting all airports. I would go do different things at some point. Now, for the airport landing, I don't think we're very far. We're gonna, let me pull up the map. I think we're gonna land on runway 31. Let me pull this up. Right here, 31 is where we're gonna land here for right now. Then once I get landed and get this, I'm gonna go restart it, and this time on the parking, I'll show you how to start this plane. Since the Dyersville Airport didn't really have a start anywhere to start the plane. There was no parking, so I couldn't really show you how to start this plane. Yeah, I know, that is kind of great. Oh, and don't worry about the cheese on their heads. That's not actually real cheese. They're foam. It's made of styrofoam. They're made of foam heads. So you don't have to worry about smelling rotten cheese. So I don't think we have to wait too much farther to get there. Yeah, yeah. Who would have thought this part of Wisconsin has actually got hills? But it does. It does have some hilly areas. I can always book this thing pretty fast. It is tractor country. Yep. Farm agriculture is a big deal there, Kazaki. Wisconsin is one of the biggest agriculture producers in the country. So yes. There are so many places for you. That's the great thing. The United States is a huge country. Like some of the United States are bigger than some of the countries in Europe, and I'm not kidding. Like you can fit some of the European countries into some of the United States. For example, I'm on a website right now. You can fit Brussels, you can fit Belgium into some bits of Virginia, West Virginia, Maryland, and D.C. I think it should be to our left. There she is. I found the landing strip. It's a little hard to see, but I found it. I should probably raise the power a little bit. This is a tricky runway. It's narrow. Boom. We're gonna move the board. So to make sure anyone else is here. Okay, I think no, I don't see really anyone else here unless. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn the plane off. Let me go ahead and turn this plane off. Do turn off the plane by turning off the magneto. That turns the plane off. Then we just turn off the avionics. Okay. There's that. So respawning at 3. Alright, Kazakh is respawning. That's fine. Let's go to the intermission for a bit. So while I get respawning, I'm going to show you something else I wanted to tell you. So we're going to be heading to our next stop in Madison, Wisconsin. So Madison's actually the capital of Wisconsin and the second largest city, only behind Milwaukee. Now, it's located in the traditional land of the Ho-Chunk Native Indigenous tribe, and the area is known as Dejope, which means 4 lakes. And that's because, well, Wisconsin is actually near 4 lakes. Itself, there's 4 lakes. So Madison's got quite a few landmarks. One of the bigger landmarks, the Wisconsin State Capitol, is a major landmark. Also, the University of Wisconsin is there. They're Badgers, which is their main sports in the city. And finally, Lake Mendota, the largest lake that's near near Madison. We'll be flying over that. Now, some notable people include Noah Dietrich. Now, Noah Dietrich was actually a longtime executive that worked with Howard Hughes back in the day. Oscar Mayer Jr. Sr. is the one who made the Oscar Mayer brand products. mm, did the two shared holders. And finally, Walter Meanwell. He was the legendary basketball coach of the University of Wisconsin basketball team. So there are definitely quite a few areas. Now, one of the more notable facts about Madison, Wisconsin, is the fact that Madison's actually the fastest growing city in Wisconsin. And believe it or not, it has the most parks and playgrounds per capita of any of the 100 largest U.S. cities. So definitely something to keep in mind when talking about Wisconsin. Now we're back in the game. Now we're in the cockpit of this thing. So how do we exactly get this thing started, you may ask? Well, let's go to the checklist. So we have our starting procedure. We open the fuel shutoff valve, which is right here. Then we're going to do a cold engine. We're going to put on the choke, which is located right here. See that? There's a choke. We open the throttle really shortly, like this. We must turn on the battery and the generator, so the battery should be low. The battery switches are low key. So we turn on the battery and the alternator. Then we need to brake and lock on. Now we turn on the ignition. And we press forward. Okay, is it's gonna start? Yes, she is. She started. Wonderful. Now we need to warm up the temperature. Any additional equipment we need to switch on. So we need to switch on the avionics, switch on our beacon light, and then before we take off, we're gonna turn off the choke and we're gonna release the brakes. So pretty simple. It's a really, really simple plane, actually. Simple. It's actually a really simple plane. We're gonna go and take off at the end. We're gonna take off at line on runway 13. We'll be taking off from there. So I'm just gonna go taxi all the way down there. Let me go ahead and circle all the way back. Okay. We should be clear. We're going to go ahead, cue prop. I think we are ready to take off. And we're going to go ahead and take off. This plane should have no trouble getting to the air. 40, and I think we can pull back. And we're off. Yeah, this plane does not need much of a runway. This thing can take off pretty shortly. There's Kazaki Flyer. We're going to go ahead and circle back to wait for him. That's why I want to take ultralights for today. And no, I'm not talking about these slow ones. These are the faster ultralight planes. Ooh, Kazaki crashed. Okay. So I got a question there, Kazaki. What plane are you taking? Because I see that you could be an Cessna 170 for all I know. Because it looks like a tail dragger, so it might be a... And you just disappeared again. Great, that is a big problem. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to put my speed. So we're going to try and get back to the right direction. Okay. I'm gonna adjust this wind speed a bit. Get a bit. Even if I'm from Europe and when it comes to planes, I'm always irritated when they show kilometers per hour instead of knots. Yeah. Kind of feel you. So let me show you a bit of my thing. Now we're going to talk about the main topic. We're going to talk about the Milwaukee Brewers for a bit. So the Milwaukee Brewers actually came in the league in 1969, not as the Brewers though. They actually came as the Seattle Pilots, and they were one of the 4 expansion teams that year. That being the Padres, the Expos, and the other team from 1969, the Kansas City Royals. Now, in their franchise history, as of 2020, they won 3,942 games and 4,248 losses. They have won 1 American League pennant. They won 2 National League Central Division titles and 2 American East Division titles. And if you wonder why that's kind of weird, well, they were one of only 2 teams in Major League Baseball to have swapped between the 2 leagues. The Astros were the only other franchise, and they transferred back in 1998. Now, they currently play at American Family Field. They used to play at Milwaukee County Stadium. And their team colors consist of navy blue, yellow, and royal blue. Now, the player onto our right is Christian Yelich, and he's the biggest star for the team. He's the team's biggest star. They acquired him in the trade with the Marlins, and he became a really huge player. He even won an MVP for the team. The history of the Milwaukee Brewers started in '69 as the Pilots, like I said, but they only played for 1 season in Seattle. The major issue was actually their stadium. The stadium was really outdated, and it didn't hold the capacity to hold Major League Baseball. And combine that with the financial troubles, their owner, Soriano, agreed to sell the team to a certain guy named Bud Selig. And Selig then moved the team to Milwaukee and became the Brewers. Their first season wasn't really that great in Milwaukee, as they went 65 and 97, and they wouldn't have a winning season until 1977. However, the 70s ended up being really good. They had a new GM, Harry Dalton, and they hired a new manager named George Bamberger. They also had acquired some really good players too from the draft. George Bamberger actually helped draft players like Robin Yount and Paul Molitor, 2 very important players for the Brewers and made them successful. And those 2 are Hall of Fame players as well. Bamberger immediately turned them into a pennant contender in '78 as they won 93 games, but they never went for place. GM Harry Dalton was able to build a winning club with a combination of homegrown players and cast-offs that people didn't really want. They're homegrown. Robin Yount and Paul Molitor were extreme in Cecil Cooper, all homegrown players that ended up being really successful for the franchise. In 1981, they made their very first ever postseason appearance after the MLB strike, as they won 95 games, but they lost to the Yankees in the postseason. In 1982, they won their very first ever American League East title, and they actually beat the Angels to get their first and only pennant so far. And they actually were extremely competitive against the Cardinals that year. They They went all the way to 7 games, but they couldn't actually pull off the World Series, unfortunately. And then the Brewers were in contention to repeat in 1983 to try and repeat for an American League title, but they kind of fell in September, and they finished in 4th place. And this would be their last winning season until 1987. And then during that time, they tried to do some rebuilding. In 1988, they had another strong season. They only finished 2 games out of first in a close playoff race. And then forwards, the team kind of slipped with mediocre records for the next 3 seasons. Then the 1992 team actually surprised many, as they did really well, but they were behind the Blue Jays in that division. And unfortunately, for the rest of the 90s, the Brewers have had some major issues, mainly bad management, and there's also financial constraints with Bud Selig. And as a result, they didn't have a single winning season. In 1998, most notably, the Brewers actually switched leagues from the American League Central to the National League Central. And the reason they did that was because Major League Baseball wanted to do some interleague play between the 2 leagues. But that never really came to fruition. That in order to do that, they would have to realign one of the teams. So the Brewers were that team. And that brings it to 2001. In 2001, the Brewers actually moved from County Stadium to American Family Field. It was supposed to be a year earlier, but there was a construction accident that happened, so they couldn't move from 2000 to 2001. And it didn't really go well, as in 2001 they went 68-94, and the next season they finished with their worst record, 56-106. And that was until Bud Selig finally get the team to new ownership. With new ownership, they actually got their first non-losing record since 1992, as they went 81-81. In 2006, they were very competitive. In fact, only a losing streak could cost them a postseason appearance. So things are finally in the right direction for the Brewers. And in 2008, they finally made their first postseason appearance since 1982, as they took the wildcard spot of the National League. Unfortunately, they fell to the eventual World Series champion Phillies in the NLDS, which is a really painful thing to have. 2 years later, in 2010, in 2011, they finally took their first National League Central Division title with a 96-66 record, which is still their best record in franchise history, and they went all the way to the championship series. Unfortunately, they lost to the Cardinals again. Shocker, shocker. Had they actually won the pennant there, they could have been the first franchise to win a pennant in 2 different leagues. There's actually another team that has actually done it, though, and it's the other team that switched. So, however, after competitive seasons in the 2010, the Brewers started rebuilding for the future. But thankfully, they surprised many people. As the Brewers in 2017, with guys like Brian, they surprised many by beating the wild card hunt for much of the year, but they barely missed the postseason. However, the one thing that really put the Brewers on top was the addition of Christian Yelich, the young star from the Miami Marlins, in a trade that really was lopsided. Thanks to him and production from other players, the Brewers won their second ever division title, and they advanced all the way to the National League Championship Series once again. Unfortunately, again, in a 7-game series, they lost to the Dodgers, but this time to the Dodgers, who went to the World Series in 2018. And then after disappointing 2019 seasons, the Brewers clinched one of the other wildcard spots during the COVID-shortened season. But in that series, they fell to the Dodgers in the wildcard series, which is kind of ironic because the Dodgers also won the World Series that year in 2020. So that basically wraps up my history of the Brewers. Historically, they've not been the most exciting or historical team, so not too much history. They do have some iconic players. They have some iconic players, and they also do have legends. The first legend is definitely the best player in franchise history, and that player is none other than Robin Yount. Robin Yount is considered by many to be the best player in franchise history, as he spent all 20 seasons with the team, and he's been the only Brewer in franchise history to win multiple MVP awards, and he's only one of 2 players to reach 3,000 hits of the team. The other one being Paul Molitor. Robin Yount was a 285 hitter in his 285 hitter with 3,142 hits, 251 home runs, and 1,406 RBIs in his illustrious career. He was also a 3-time All-Star. He twice won the American League MVP in 1982 and 1989. He was a 3-time Silver Slugger in the 1982 Gold Glove winner. But the main thing that I really want to talk about him is not just due to the fact he's successful. He is extremely important as he is the all-time leader in games played, at-bats, plate appearances, runs, doubles, triples, runs batted, and walks. And he's still very popular today in Milwaukee and has made numerous appearances on the Brewers on Deck, which is their preseason fan fest. He's been very popular with the team, and he's still beloved by many in Milwaukee as the player that really represented the franchise. Next one is Paul Molitor. Now, he's been one of the best hitters of the 1980s, and he was known for his hitting speed, and which is a very powerful combination in baseball. He played for the Brewers, but he also played for the Blue Jays, and he also played for the Minnesota Twins, which is his hometown team, as he was born in the Twin Cities of St. Paul and Minneapolis. Now, his career stats, he had a 306 batting average, he had 3,319 hits, 234 home runs, and 1,307 RBIs, and also to note, 504 stolen bases. That's due to the fact he was such a powerful combination with hitting and speed. He was a 7-time All-Star himself. 4 times he had the Silver Slugger Award. And he was the 1993 World Series MVP as part of the Blue Jays team. In fact, Molitor is unique as he's only one of 5 players in Major League history to have 3,000 hits, 300 lifetime batting average, and 500 stolen bases. And one of those other ones include Ty Cobb. The next one isn't a Hall of Famer, but he is pretty iconic for the team, Cecil Cooper. Now, Cecil Cooper has been one of the best hitters for the team in the 1980s, and he's been extremely important for the franchise, as he posted 3 seasons with over 200 plus hits in 1980, 1982, and 1983, and he finished 5th in the MVP vote, and he was named the team's MVP for 3 seasons as well. He's extremely important for the team. He hit 298 in his career with 241 home runs and 1,125 RBIs. He was also known for being a 5-time All-Star, a 3-time Silver Slugger, and a 2-time Gold Glove and American League RBI leader. And he still holds the Brewers' franchise record for hits in a single season with 219. Very solid hitter. He can do quite a bit. Good power and glove. He's an all-around capable guy. Next, we're going to go to Prince Fielder. Now, he's actually the son of Tigers hitter Cecil Fielder. And he was one of the best hitters of the 2000s era. In fact, ironically, he hit the same number of home runs in his career as his dad. Because him and his dad both hit 319 home runs in his career. As well, Prince Fielder was a 6-time All-Star, a 3-time Silver Slugger, and he was the 2007 National League Hank Aaron Award winner. And he now holds team records in home runs in a season, and he's the youngest player in National League history to hit 50 home runs in a season, which is a pretty remarkable feat, if you ask me. Prince may not look like a player that can absolutely do it, but here's Prince Fielder. And then we've got to talk about Ryan Braun, the last player I want to mention. He was drafted 5th overall by the Brewers in the 2005 MLB draft, and he was one of their best players in franchise history. He was a 5-tool player with his ability to hit for power, average. He's really good with speed, and he has a great arm and really good defensive player. He had 1,900 hits, 350 home runs, 1,154 RBIs. As well, he was the 2011 NL MVP, a 6-time All-Star, 5-time Silver Slugger, and he was twice a member of the 30-30 Club. He's one of 41 players to actually do this, and basically the 30-30 Club is he has 30 home runs in a season and 30 stolen bases, making him one of the few players that can actually do it. After the 2020 season, Braun was ranked first all-time in career home runs, second in runs batted in, and third in hits. However, his legacy did turn a dive because in 2013 he was tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs, so it kind of really ruined his reputation quite a bit. So definitely something I want to keep in mind as we head to Madison, Wisconsin. As we kind of head to Madison for a bit. Temperature dropped from 90 to 68. Well, that's good. Now the temperature should go down, I think it'd be a lot better. what is it called? Rainfall when it falls horizontally because of the wind. Rain sweep probably because it's horizontal. It sweeps. That's a good question, Martel. That's actually pretty cool. So for those in the chat, it's good to see you all here. So yes, I'm flying through the Wisconsin River, and I'm going to be heading to Madison, Wisconsin, the land of four lakes. So I'm in this new CTSL. This thing is absolutely cool. It's a cool little ultralight. Very, very, very nice plane. And this is the new livery they got here, too. This is from one of the new liveries from the Xbox release. And this thing looks really nice. Like, there's some really taggy ones, but this one looks pretty cool. Definitely something you want to put up there. Like, there's some really cool liveries. I like the X-Cub and Savage Cub liveries. Those are really cool liveries for the planes. And I think this one's really cool, too. But there's some ones that look like really tacky and they kind of feel out of place. But actually, I don't think this thing's kind of out of place. I know it looks kind of barren, but like I said, the thing's got. Oh wait. I see some users in chat. I see quite a few. I think I saw Dougal Matavish there a little earlier. I think we're gonna fly over Middleton, Wisconsin. We'll be flying over there for a bit. I completely underestimate these light planes. I know, it's easy to underestimate them. Like, they can be quite fast when you want them to be. But I like these planes. And one great thing is, because they're really light, they also stop really fast. Like, if you want to stop them, you can do it, and they also take off pretty shortly, too. That's why I really like these planes. These planes are really cool. And plus, because of the fact they're light, you can actually fly them at somewhat slower speed. So if you want to go pretty fast, you can do that. But if you want to really fly slow, you can actually do it in this plane. You can actually fly surprisingly slow and make them a good sightseeing plane. So yeah, these are really nice planes. Definitely want to fly around a lot of these more. It's easy to underestimate these planes just because so we should be getting to Wisconsin Madison pretty soon. Yeah, this is very nice country flying. Very, very beautiful flying out there. And I think if you notice in the background, right around this area, let me see right there. There's Lake Mendota in the distance. This is one of the 4 major lakes in Madison, and it's the largest of the 4 lakes. The 3 other lakes are Lake Mohana, Lake Wabisa, and the smallest of the lakes, Lake Wingra, are all the lakes in Madison. So that's kind of what I want to point out here. So let's see our fuel tanks. Our fuel should be pretty good. And also what's good about these planes is they actually have quite a bit of range to them. They got quite the long range, if you want them to be. This thing could go the same distance as a Cessna 172. If not actually a bit, I think the range on this is around 800, 900 nautical miles. Let me check. Light design. CTLS flight design. Range. The CTSW, which is the short wing version, apparently this thing could go around 1,000 nautical miles. So this thing has... The CTSL does not have autopilot, but it does have somewhat modern avionics. It's got a navigation screen. Like this. However, there is a mod you can actually give this thing autopilot. It's on Flight Sim TO, and I know that you can get this thing to have autopilot. Now the ultralight that has the autopilots, Martel, is a plane called the Pipistrel Virus SW121. Now that plane does have an autopilot. It has a G3X system, like in the X Cub, and that does have autopilot. I'm actually going to go touch down at Middleton Municipal. I'm going to just do a quick touch go on runway 10. Yeah, it's because I set the trim. This plane actually isn't that difficult to set the trim for. The reason it's so stable is because, like I said, you gotta work the throttle and the trim. Because if you once you work out the throttle and trim, landing this shouldn't be too difficult. Obviously, this takes a lot of practice, and it also depends on what plane it is. So setting trim depends on the type of plane and speeds. You have to reset the trim consistently. There's Kazaki Flyer. There's Kozaki in front of me. So we are going to do some flying over Lake Mendota. Just kind of. There's a school at Middleton. Now here's Lake Mendota. This lake is beautiful. It's a big lake. I believe it's the largest one in Wisconsin. Let me go check. Lake Mendota, it is the largest of the 4 lakes in Madison. But it's not the largest lake, though, in Wisconsin. If the largest Wisconsin lake actually belongs to Lake Winnebago. That's the largest lake in Wisconsin, but this is the largest of the 4 lakes in Madison. So here's how this works. You just press the trim and get the trim to the right level. So let me rework the trim for a bit. This. Okay, it's going down too much. So watch this. If it's going down too much, I can just press the trim. You'll get it back up. Alright, reset the trim. You reset the trim again. You just gotta constantly change the trim there, Martel. Trim is key when you're not flying autopilot planes. If you want to have a stable flight, you want to adjust the trim. And right here, we're flying over the University of Wisconsin. Let me go ahead and let me get into the showcase. So this over here is the University of Wisconsin. This is the major public university here. And this right here is the big old Camp Randall Stadium. Right here. That is home to the University of Wisconsin Badgers football program. This big old stadium was produced in 1920. It can hold around 80,000 spectators at any time. And Milwaukee football is a big deal in Wisconsin. And their major rivals are the Minnesota Golden Gophers, which we'll be visiting next week. But yeah, this is Madison. Big old city. You can obviously see from the right side. If we go over here, we can see back in the distance. Yeah, it's very nice. It's looking nicely at the sea. It's actually not the sea. It's actually by a lake. It's actually by 4 lakes. And there's one of the other 4. This is the second biggest of the 4 lakes. And there is the Wisconsin State Capitol. We'll be looking over there. So there's the state capitol. There's the rest of downtown Madison. That's located over there. And now we're going to find a place we're going to land very soon. And for where we need to land, well, we're going to be landing on runway 36. We're just going to land straight in. So here we go. We're going to land straight in at runway 36 on our nav map. I'm going to go ahead and lower the speed, lower the stage of flaps. I was tricked by a false friend. In German, see and link are the same word. Oh. Oh, I get. I guess see and link means different word. Okay, that makes it more understandable. I was wondering about see, like, that didn't make sense, but then I realized that in German, I guess it means the same thing. Gotcha. So there we go. We're going to adjust the flaps. But I should have known it. Mm-hmm. It's like a miniature glider. Should be down really smooth. And I think that should be enough to drop her. There. That should be... Look at that. That's a really smooth one. Look at that. I just got down really quick. That did not take me very long. I'm going to go ahead and park this thing. So let's see if Kazaki Flyer and the rest are still up here. Just want to make sure if anyone else is still here or not. Just making sure if anyone else is still here wants to land in with me. Because that's what I usually like to do, is try to land, try and people join me flights. And I think there's no one else, so I'm going to go ahead and get back to the sim. So we're going to go ahead and press the avionics. So there you go. Now we're going to head back to the main menu. And I'm going to take a short break, so I'll be right back. And I'll be back soon. Hey guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a quick break. So I had a quick restroom break. So I'm gonna go ahead and spawn back at KMSN. Martel says I'll be back after a brief dinner. Take care there, Martel. Hope to see you back soon. So I'm gonna have to restart the whole procedures again. So let me go ahead and restart everything. And the break should be released. It's really that simple. This point is a really simple point to start. Interested in your pushback. Not really interested in it. I'm going to be taking off from one-way 18. And, whoa. Oh, what the heck was that? Stop. No. It was a stupid pushback. Should have known. Stupid pushback. Welcome to hello everyone in the chat. It's good to see anyone new in the chat. I think it'd be really nice. Feel free to give me a follow but I only do it if I earned your approval. Okay, I'm now ready to take off. This should be rather easy to take off. This plane can accelerate really fast. Dane County. Gonna circle over the airfield for a little bit. There's Kozaki Flyer, my good friend. Probably put it right here. So hello, so it's good. So I see Casino Thanks in the chat. Troop Dog, Foregathers, thank you for the follow. At top, F2 Pair, Joint Effort, thank you so much for being in the chat. There's Kazakia behind me. Well, today we're going to be flying to Milwaukee right now. This will be our final leg of the trip. We'll be flying to Milwaukee. So let's bring up our slideshow. So Milwaukee, Wisconsin is actually the largest city in the state of Wisconsin. It is actually the 5th largest city in the U.S. Midwest. I believe the only ones larger are Chicago. I believe it's Chicago, Minneapolis, St. Paul, and I think the last one's St. Louis. St. Louis is the other one in the Midwest. Milwaukee's number 5. Now, the history of Milwaukee, it traces all the way back to its history with German immigrants. German immigrants played a large role in Milwaukee's culture, and that's why German food and beer is especially popular. The German history is why they nicknamed it the Brew City, Beer City, Brew Town, Cream City, all because of its proud German heritage. That's why German food's insanely popular. Milwaukee is one of the most ethnically and culturally diverse cities in the U.S. as well. Now, currently, some of the landmarks here in Milwaukee, they include the Harley Davidson Museum, which actually is what I am wearing right now, Harley Davidson. Now, Harley Davidson got its start here in Milwaukee, and they're legendary for their motorcycles. In such, they're a legendary name in the motorcycle world. The Third Ward, which is one of the neighborhoods here in Milwaukee, and the Miller Brewery, which is one of the brewing companies here in Milwaukee. They're the biggest name, but Milwaukee's also home to lots of other smaller IPAs, and they make some great craft beer. Now, some notable people in Wisconsin now include Paul Poborneski. Now, Paul Poborneski was actually born and raised here in Milwaukee. In fact, he is the one who actually founded the Experimental Aircraft Association, the EAA, the one who sponsors the AirVenture every year. And he was the founder of it. And he is the first person to popularize traditional aircraft home building in the U.S. And I'll talk more about him in another stream, but definitely a very notable name. The next name is Bud Selig. Now, Bud Selig, for those who remembered, he was the one who bought the Brewers. He was the team owner. But few people actually also knew that he was also the commissioner of Major League Baseball. In fact, he was the second to most recent baseball commissioner behind Paul Manfred. And finally, Herb Kohl. Herb Kohl was a United States senator back in the day, and he and his family founded the Kohl's chain, a super chain of all sorts of clothing products. And that's what his family did. In addition to the Brewers, Milwaukee is also home to the most recent NBA champions, the Milwaukee Bucks, led by Greek basketball freak Giannis Antetokounmpo, and yes, that's actually how his name is, Antetokounmpo. Very difficult to pronounce name, so I'm hoping I'm getting this right as well. There as well.
And that whimsicott and Paul actually this time.
What's the red area on the red side? The red area on the red side. That red area that's the fuel shut-off valve. I believe that's what you're talking about. The red. The other red thing on the right side. I think that is the fuel valve. If you shut it off, it shuts off the fuel to the plane. That's what it is, Mayor Martel. Good to see that you're back. There's something right outside like a tennis court. Oh. There's something right outside. Or was it my livery or something? Oh, let me look. That's weird. The drone, like drones. Okay, I couldn't really see it though. So there's actually two ballparks we want to visit here for today. Now these are the final two of this slideshow. First, we're gonna go visit the old ballpark. Now that's been torn down since then. This is Milwaukee County Stadium. This was actually built as a multi-purpose facility back in 1970, and it was the home of the Brewers from 1970 to 2000. It had a seat capacity of 53,000 people, and it had symmetrical dimensions of 315, 362, 315 and foul lines, 362 at left and right center, and 402 at center field. Now, one of the cool features of this park is a chalet and beer mug, and it was originally at right center field and later at left field. And this chalet is usually, and it features a slide where Bernie the Brewer came out, the team mascot, which is one of the cool, unique features of the park. Now, there are a couple notable events of the ballpark. Henry Aaron's final game came in 1975 as a member of the Brewers. Nolan Ryan's 300th career win, and legendary brewer Robin Mount's 3,000th hit happened here at County Stadium. Now, the fun fact is that although most of the stadium site is now covered for parking, a site in the infield was converted into a Little League baseball park called Helfer Field, which we'll be actually flying over today. We'll be flying over the old Marley Park. And then their current home, this is American Family Field. This opened back in 2001. Is built originally named Miller Park, and is the current home of the Brewers since 2001. It carries 42,000 people. The outfield dimensions are 342, 378, 400, 374, and 337. Now, there are a couple of unique features of this park. One is the Bernie Brewer slide, which is the slide where Bernie Brewer actually slides down every time a Brewers hits a home run. The mascot goes on the slide and slides down every time they have a home run. Then there's a sculpture called Teamwork, and basically it is to honor the three workers that were passed away during an unfortunate accident that cost their lives during the construction of the ballpark. So it's their way of honoring the construction workers. And finally, it's retractable roof. It's Major League Baseball's only fan-shaped convertible roof. And what's cool is this thing can actually open and close in less than 10 minutes, which is pretty impressive when you consider how large of a stadium that is. Very, very impressive. Now, the most notable event I can think of so far is the 2002 All-Star Game. And the thing that made it pretty infamous is that this was the last time the All-Star Game is ended in a tie game. So definitely some very interesting stuff. We'll be heading to Milwaukee pretty soon. So this is just really nice out here. I mean, the scenery is kind of nice. It's a bit of a flatter compared to the hills we went through southwest, but it's still really nice. It's very fertile. Very green. Quite nice to go through. So definitely we're getting near to our next stop. So we're going to be flying over one of the neighborhoods outside of Milwaukee, Summit Corners. Be gone, be gone. Junk. I hate this spam chat. Be gone, be gone. Professor Roland Plays is in the chat. Nice to see you. I had to delete a few things. I didn't want those things in the chat. If I want to get followers, I want to do this the proper way, and I want to earn it for the people watching. That's just what I want to be. Because if I did that, it would be unfair for all the people who want to earn things the way they should be. If you know what I mean. So I know a lot of you are thinking about things for the weekend. I know that Colonel Fork's going to do his own stream later today at in 30 minutes. He's going to do his carrier air train today. So I want to give him a shout out because later today on his channel, he's gonna do his carrier training exercise. I think in preparation for the F-14 that's gonna come out from DC Designs, and that thing looks pretty cool. It's just military jets. Like, don't get me wrong, the F-14, but I prefer more of the vintage warbirds to the modern jets. But I want to give him a shout out because I think Colonel Fork's really fun, and he's going to fly all around Florida from Daytona Beach all the way to the other side of Florida, which is pretty crazy, if you ask me. Then I got Allison Johnson, who is a wonderful friend of mine and a wonderful person in general. Allison did her next leg of the Emily Johnson flight. Amy Johnson flight. She flew from Aleppo to Baghdad, and she's gonna do something very special for this upcoming weekend. She's gonna be for Simwings. They're gonna do some donation for Simwings, which is a great organization. Recommend checking them out. And I know Murph on Monday he's gonna be on the other platform, the red platform, YouTube, and he will be doing the last part of his Seven Wonders of the World series, where they're going to be flying over the Great Wall of China. And trust me, that wall is long. And that wall is pretty long. So on our map, we're not far from downtown Milwaukee, so we should get there pretty quickly. Are there many lakes en route today, or is this by chance? Or are there many lakes in general? Well, Wisconsin's got quite a few lakes there, Martell. Though in the United States, if you want to see lakes, go to Minnesota because they call Minnesota the land of 10,000 lakes. Hmm. Actually, I was wrong. Minnesota maybe the land 10,000 lakes, but actually Alaska's got the most lakes. I was wrong. However, Minnesota has the most named lakes. About 15,000 lakes. Wisconsin actually has the third highest lakes, actually. In fact, Wisconsin has 15,000 lakes itself. My current location? Alright. Hey, friends all, good to see you again. Let me go ahead and put the nav map. Here's my current location. You could take off at Waukesha County. I'll probably go a little slower since we're going to be heading to Wisconsin. There's my general location. Friends all, let me pull that up. So what airport should I start from? Let me look. That's a good question. I think you should start at, let me give you an airport. It's this one. It is Kilo Mike Kilo Echo. Because it would be the closest one, and I think you should start on runway 3-1. Start there, and you get caught to me pretty quickly. You got that, friends all? And I also see Wombat in the apparently users in the chat. I see that Wombat's also joined in the chat alongside Professor Roland Plays. Good to see you. We're on our way to Milwaukee. We're not far from it. We're right next to it, actually. I wonder what's that in the distance. Yes, thanks East Coast server. Yep. That's right, the East Coast. And oh, I just got a notification. It's Murph. I got two-tone Murphy notifications. Oh, Murph just put a birthday notification. It's someone's birthday today. So let me go ahead and... Yeah, that's right. That information's correct there. And there's American Family Field right above us. And there's American Family Field right in front of us. So we're going to go ahead and... Couple buildings. There's also a Milwaukee Mile Speedway, too. I forgot, there's also the famous Milwaukee Mile Speedway. Right outside the thing. That's a famous speedway here in Milwaukee. There's American Family Field. I'm going to go put this in active pause. Okay, there's First American Family Field. Now the stadium should say Miller Park because that's where they took the program. Let me go ahead and pause this for a bit. Active pause, I mean. Um, so, of course, it's not modeled really well in the sim. So this here is the minor league park. This is the Little League ballpark, built on the site of the old county stadium. So there it is right here. So this is perfect for Little League. Now to our right, this is American Family Field. This is Miller Park. So this is the entrance to the stadium. Unfortunately, this sim, like the exterior is fine, but the interior absolutely stinks, as you'll see soon. But here's the stadium and all that. Now we go over the roof. Now I can make out a few. Unfortunately, it's not simulated very well, but there's still some details. There's the slide. Unfortunately, it's not simulated really well. There's the scoreboard, video board. There's the triple deck. But unfortunately, compared to the other ballparks we visited, this is probably the worst of all the ballparks so far for some reason. Not really that great. And like I said, you can see the unique fan-shaped retractable roof that can open and close in 10 minutes. Which should be pretty fast. Now we'll be visiting another location. We're going to be seeing the Harley-Davidson Museum. Because, you know, motorcycles are kind of a big deal here in the United States. There's beautiful Milwaukee. I like the architecture. Yeah, it's very much German inspired. If it's one thing about Milwaukee, it is very much German. There's a lot of German architecture influence around here, which makes sense. This is Milwaukee we're dealing with there, and German immigrants have a huge history in the city. There's the Harley-Davidson Museum. That's also, that structure over there is the Harley-Davidson Museum. Now we're going to be flying. There's downtown. There's the rest of downtown Milwaukee. So we definitely see some unique structures. So this is downtown. Beautiful downtown Milwaukee. Quite a beautiful city to fly over. Just avoid hitting the structures. Now around this area is the old arena. Now this was previously the home of the Milwaukee Bucks, very well-known basketball team. This was the old home of the Bucks, their professional basketball team, and a major deal in the city of Milwaukee. So we're going to fly around the city for a bit, and then we will be finally going to our last destination. There was a wastewater treatment plant and now a power plant. Yeah, it's kind of the deal in Milwaukee. We're going to do some bit of a quick flyover for the city. One final time. Okay, now we're going to be heading to our airport and our final destination. Now the question is where we're going to land. I think a good idea to land. Let's land at runway 33 right, which should be our destination. Land right here in this airport. And I think this will be the final part of our journey. We'll get that completed pretty quickly. Once I need to turn this around. Schilt Beer Company. Yeah, there's a lot of beer stuff. They don't call Milwaukee. That's right, Kazaki. There's tons of beer companies in Milwaukee. It makes sense. It's called the Brew City. And that's why the professional baseball team is called the Brewers. Because beer is a big deal. I mean, it makes sense. Yep, cheers. Yep, cheers. Cheers, Dugat. So there's the airport, there's the runway in front of us. There's the runway in front of us. Take it down smoothly. And that should be an easy stop. Yeah, because this plane can stop on a dime. Let me get this parked. Near the front of all, there's Kazaki Flyer. It's really interesting seeing the housing area and suburbs. When on vacation, you don't focus on them. Yep, it's kind of nice to see the suburbs. Wrong airport? No, you're in the right airport, friend all. This is the right one. This is... let me pull this up. It's this one. No, here it is. It looks like you guys are on the wrong airport. I'm all the way across the city. into this is the general aviation airport of Milwaukee. The one your guys are at is in the international airport for Milwaukee. But see, but at least you're all down, okay? That's all that matters in the grand scheme of things. So, are GA planes on the airport in real life? I believe so. You can land the international airport, but you would GAs are allowed, but most GA pilots would land here just because there's less traffic to go through. But you can land the international airport if you want to. You just have to follow the ATC protocols and everything, just because airliners and stuff will be all over that too. So, yep, that's kind of how it is. So, I want to thank you all for being here, Kazaki Flyer and friends all. Thank you guys for flying with me today, even if we're in the wrong airport. And Martel's also been there in the chat as well. I want to thank him as well. So, for next week, we will be heading to Minneapolis, Minnesota. And we're also going to visit St. Paul. We're going to visit the Twin Cities of Minnesota. So I think this will be a really exciting thing. And now I need to find who I should raid here for today. Let's see who I can find for raiding. I think I should probably raid, okay, I think I know who to raid. I think we should raid Jay Winokur stream. So let's pay Jay Winokur raid, because I know he's gonna probably raid the Colonel Fork. So let's do that. So I want you to take care and see you later, everyone.